Well, I hope everybody's doing good. And you can see on my left here, we're joined by two superstars. We've got an incredible celebration of a day that is long in the making, but a lot of people pushing the right buttons, you know. What are we doing? You want to talk? Yeah. Scoot over here. Kathy, you should probably come up here too. No, come on, bring your chair and come up here. Y'all help Kathy. She was wanting to talk to you.
See, sir. Yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Oh.
He's spoiled, is he?
Well, let's go back. We know in the great state of West Virginia, we were way behind the times in regard to all of our great people having accessibility to broadband and really making it all happen in a real positive way. We knew that. And so we've taken initiatives within the state, and they've been good. But our partners right here, and you know this incredible senator and this incredible individual right beside her, and all the folks that have put in all the licks together now make things become a reality that's off the chart. I mean, when you just think about federal dollars of, and I think I'm right about this, I don't have these numbers right in front of me, but somewhere close to not quite $50 billion, is that correct, in total? And West Virginia, I mean, what would West Virginia normally have gotten out of a pie of $50 billion or less than $50 billion in this nation? Would we really have expected that West Virginia's part of the pie would be $1.2 billion? There's no way. There's no way, really. Normally what we would have expected in West Virginia would have been, we'd have gotten $50,000 and 3 tickets to the Wendy's show or whatever it may be. But really, and I credit, Senator Capito for unbelievable work, unbelievable. So with all that being said, I've got two great people to introduce, and I guess I'm going to introduce you guys and go from here. Is that correct? Okay. Well, we've got Senator Capito and Administrator Davidson, and we thank you so much for being here. We thank you for your commitment to West Virginia. We thank you for helping us bring all of us on board with what's going on all across the nation and the world. So if I could maybe pass to you, Shelley.
Thank you, Governor, and thank you for your leadership here. And I think it's important to note, too, that you've put a great emphasis through your administration, through your economic development, and also working with the legislature, working with creating a very vibrant West Virginia Broadband Council, which is absolutely critical to make sure that this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for West Virginia is maximized. And I'm really pleased to have Mr. Davidson here with us today from the Department of Commerce. He's going to run this whole show. In the bipartisan infrastructure package, we did, internet connectivity is absolutely essential today, and will be even more essential into every day moving forward. And unfortunately, as you said, Governor, we've been on the short end here for a lot of different reasons. And I asked somebody who was very much involved in this space 4 or 5 years ago. What can we do to get that last person connected? What's it going to take? And the things he said were time and money. Well, we've got the money now. The time should be condensed. And that's why having the administrator here today is so important. We've had roundtables talking about what's going on the ground, what we're seeing, what the timing is, who's it applicable to, where's it going to go. And so I would like to introduce Alan Davidson to all of you. He is going to spend the day with us. Certainly, the entire congressional delegation, as I represent, is very intimately involved in making sure this is a success. So thank you for coming.
Well, thank you, Senator, and thank you, Governor. And it's so great to be here. There's really no substitute for being able to be here in person and see firsthand the challenges that West Virginia faces and meet firsthand the folks who are doing the hard work to make sure everybody gets connected. And thank you, Senator. The Senator has, in particular, I have to say, been an incredible, a tireless advocate for West Virginia and for getting everybody in West Virginia connected. I've seen it firsthand, and I really salute that work. And thank you, Governor, for your work and your commitment, your $1 billion plan to get everybody connected here too. And that's why we're here, right? You know, today the internet is a necessity. It's not a luxury, right? You know, it's essential for access to jobs, access to education, access to healthcare. And it's amazing that here we are in 2023 in America, and there are hundreds of thousands of households in West Virginia and millions across the country who do not have that basic internet access. And we've been talking about this digital divide, about connecting the unconnected in this country for over 25 years. But we finally now have the resources, thanks to the bipartisan infrastructure law, thanks to the good work of a lot of folks, leadership of the president, we finally have the resources to do something serious about closing that divide. And there's a lot of different pieces to this, but the big one is this milestone that we've just reached. It's actually a $42 billion program. And of that, I'm thrilled to say that West Virginia will be getting $1.2 billion from that state grant program to make sure that everybody in the state gets connected. Yes, thank you. It's a big moment. It's a big number, and it comes on top of other grant programs that we've been part of, other grants that the ARPA funds, funds from the FCC, grants that we've made recently in our Middle Mile program and other programs. All in all, totaling from the federal government over $1.5 billion to make this connectivity happen, and that is a lot of money. I'll just say a quick word about next steps here. We've given the state some big homework assignments now because we don't write those big checks without a little bit of homework. And the state is on it. The biggest thing is that in the next 6 months, we'll be looking for a plan from the state about how the money is going to be spent. Once we get that plan and approve it, we'll be moving forward with the first 20% of the money coming to the state, and then the state will be doing its grant making. There's some big, so that's really the big homework assignment. The other big thing, and I would be remiss if I didn't mention it, is just there's an opportunity to do something about getting folks online who can't afford to get online right now. The Affordable Connectivity Program, which is a program that's available right now, provides low-income Americans with up to $30 a month subsidy on their internet bill, and that's a program we know that a lot of people in West Virginia are eligible for who aren't signed up. So news you can use. We should be making sure we get everybody signed up who's eligible. The last thing I'll say, and then very happy to talk more and answer questions, is as the Senator said, as the Governor said, this is a moment of opportunity. This is a historic moment. We won't get this kind of funding opportunity again. Congress is not writing checks for tens of billions of dollars again anytime soon. So this is a once-in-a-generation opportunity. But I'll just say, generations before us did very big things. They connected everybody in America with water and electricity. They built the interstate highway system. This is our generation's big infrastructure moment. This is our chance to make sure that everybody in the country is connected, and everybody in West Virginia is connected with the tools that they need to succeed in the modern economy, and that's an internet connection. So it's going to take a lot of work. I'm delighted, I'm thrilled to be part of it with you all. Thank you for your leadership. Thank you for your partnership, and we look forward to making sure that everybody and this dream of an internet for all becomes a reality. Thanks.
Now we clap.
Okay.
And really and truly, I mean, think about this, and I've got this somewhere here, but just bear with me. Okay, now get this. West Virginia will receive, and look at these numbers. There's 1, there's 3, 6, 9, there's 12 numbers here. West Virginia will receive $1,210,869.85. Now think about that. Think about that. Out of $42 billion, $1.2 billion coming to West Virginia. Think of all the goodness that we're on the cusp of doing right here. Think about all the goodness that we've already initiated and started with our $1 billion program that we've already started. But absolutely, without any question, we all knew this. We've all known this forever. This is the new highway system of the future. And surely to goodness, we can't be left behind. So we thank you, Administrator, thank you, sir, Senator. I could never thank you enough. You know that. And what an unbelievable superstar. I mean, that's all there is to it. And that's why Baby Dog was trying to talk to y'all and everything. But
Could I add just, Governor, just two little sort of data points? That West Virginia is receiving the 11th most dollars overall of the 50 states.
right.
That shows we had a problem.
Yeah.
But the other point that needs to be made is because of the way we in Congress wrote it and it's going to be implemented, it is going to the unserved and underserved. This money is not going to go to overbuild in certain places or to up people's speeds that already have adequate speeds. This is going to the unserved and underserved. And I know you maybe, if you're familiar with it, say to yourself, well, haven't programs been initiated like this before for the underserved or unserved? Yes, but they've had sort of leeways in and out to be able to divert dollars. You're not going to be able to do that, I don't think, in this situation. And that is the really good news. And one thing that I sort of leave out sometimes of the equation of health care, education, remote work is emergency services. I mean, think about the availability of internet and how critical it is to be able to know about certain warnings, be able to be up to date as quickly as possible through our emergency response system. So that, I think, is a critical piece of this. So that's it.
I think that's all dead on the money right. And, I can't thank you guys enough. I can't thank all of y'all enough. I mean, really and truly, we started down a crusade, and we honestly were trying to sow an apple orchard with 3 seeds. And some way, somehow, we've got at least the looks of being able to genuinely grow the entire apple orchard and do a lot of good for all of us. And so it's a great day. It's an incredible day. And so, again,
Thanks.
Thank you from the very bottom of my heart.
Well, and
Please.
I would just only add that, this money is not an accident. There's a formula for it. It's based on the number of unserved locations here in the state. That's the biggest piece of it. And it's because there's a big challenge here that the money is there. And the other piece of it is, it's partly also because of the hard work folks in the state to make sure that we had accurate mapping, that West Virginia was well represented, and to make sure that all those unserved locations got counted. And I salute the senator and the broadband office here and folks in West Virginia who sent in information and did speed tests in their home, made sure that those maps were accurate, and that in turn really improved the map. And in fact, West Virginia was one of the states, top 10 states whose numbers improved from the first version of the map to the second version. That was a lot of hard work that went into that. And as a result, I'm excited to be here today talking about making sure, about how we're going to use that money well to connect everyone.
I want to pile on just a second there too. At the end of the day, really the updating of the mapping had carried with it a great, big part of the reason we're here right now.
Right.
I mean, that's just all there is to it. So a lot of great work by a lot of people.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, we'll answer your questions as best we can, And Kelly and Mitch and whomever else, can join in too.
I'd like to ask, and I'll talk to Secretary Carmichael after the fact about this, but I think how much of this is a game changer in terms of business recruitment? I mean, the Secretary and the Choose West Virginia group just got back from Seattle. They went to Taiwan and other places. How important is it for companies thinking about coming here that we have full broadband access in the state for educating their kids, for healthcare, for running a business, and how much does this change the game?
Well, if I could lead off, and then
Yeah,
you guys
do.
chime right in and everything, jump in here too. I mean, let's just be fair. I mean, be truly, truly fair. When people are going to consider West Virginia, the first thing I think that absolutely companies think of right off the get-go is for their employees, well, how are the schools? Are the schools safe? Are they moving in the right direction? Or is there real improvement beginning to happen? The second thing they think about is how are the highways? And those are almost standards of life. But for crying out loud, you cannot possibly expect people that would really genuinely move companies, bring folks to West Virginia if we're still living in the dark ages. You can't. I mean, that's all there is to it. This is the highway of the future. And we absolutely recognize that, and then we plowed right off on that. And I give Secretary Carmichael tons and tons and tons of credit, because really and truly, he's been one running through the wilderness with the flag, screaming and hollering a lot of the times too. And so at the end of the day, I don't see how you genuinely recruit businesses to a place that is way, 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 way behind the times in regard to all this incredible development.
I would just say, I mean, this is a story we hear everywhere that it's and we hear it from businesses directly, right? Can't build a business if you don't have connection to the internet now, and it's across the board. It's like precision agriculture requires the connections to the internet. The use of these new exciting AI tools that are going to be part of the future of a lot of industries require access to the internet. So we know it's essential, and we know actually what's exciting is we're going to build a much more resilient country by making it possible for everybody to participate fully in this modern economy. Everybody, everywhere. And so you don't have to just live in certain places to be able to be part of this modern economy. You can live anywhere. You can live anywhere in West Virginia, and that's the goal. And I will also say that this is money that the way we're talking about building, and the way the state is talking about building, that it's going to provide world-class internet service to everyone. And that's our goal, get every American, every person in West Virginia, the best possible internet service. And the way we're talking about build-outs, with a lot of fiber built out, there's going to be fiber optic cable. There'll be an opportunity to have really world-class service here in West Virginia for everyone.
Well, I can't improve on that, but I guess I would say it's almost a given. I would imagine if you ask the economic development team, it's less a question of, it's almost like they don't even ask the question whether you have internet anymore, because it's an assumption that you would, because why would I even consider coming here if I can't send my business plans around the world, or if I can't tell my workers that may be relocating into West Virginia that, well, there's certain areas you want to move to because you can't get connected here, there, and everywhere. And so I think it's an assumption that we are going to be fully on board with. The other thing is, and we all know this, and I can speak as a grandmother, because attracting young people, we are not going to attract young people into our state if we are not fully connected. Right. I mean, it's not going to happen. And so this is part of that whole movement too, to grow our state and take advantage of folks coming from D.C. that are saying, I can remote work now. Well, I want to go to West Virginia for a lot of reasons that we all know. Unless we have this, they won't make those decisions.
Yeah.
I've got to add one thing. You know me. I can just make it absolutely common as common could be. Now let's just think about this just a second. XYZ company wants to come to West Virginia. They can't believe how pristine the air, the waters, the seasons are unbelievable. they look at the location of West Virginia to the population of the entire country, and they say, "Dag, that place is an unbelievable opportunity." And then they come in and they start talking more, and they talk about education, that's okay. And then, then they talk about highways, and that's okay. And then they turn to you and they say, "Do you have hot water?" And we go, what's that? And then they say, "Gone." That's the end of the discussion. I mean, really and truly, if we can't have high-speed connectivity and we can't be like everybody else, all of a sudden we're just checked off the chart. So at the end of the day, I want us to have hot water. And I think all these great folks do too. And so that's what we need.
Governor, you said it will shorten the time. Obviously, you wish this was done yesterday.
Right.
Right. How quickly can it be done? Any idea? Because you've got obviously other people that will get the grants that will take it. How quickly can it be done?
Well, I'll speak sort of at the top level. It's a 5-year deployment of the dollars, and I think Alan mentioned that at the beginning of next year, after the plans are in place, it will begin to go, and it's 20% deployment of those dollars in the immediate. So that will be the big hit to really jumpstart the program. My hope is that you'll see in the 2 to 3, in another, by the end of next year, going into that 25, you're really going to see the bulk of the spending. But I think people get discouraged when they hear that, because they think they're going to get it tomorrow. There are ongoing programs now that are working that Kelly Workman and her team have been putting together with the governor's $1 billion plan that are already deploying into places. So I don't want people to get discouraged that they're going to have to wait 5 years and all of that. There's going to be a rolling rollout of deployment of the dollars, but not the bulk, but a big portion could come as early as the beginning of next year. Do you want to add anything there?
I think that's fair. I think the truth is money's being spent now. The projects are rolling now. We've got smaller infrastructure programs. We have a middle mile grant that we just gave out to APCO last month. Those programs are starting, and shovels are going to hit the ground this year on a lot of those programs. The bulk of this money comes a little bit later, and part of that is, we want to spend it wisely. This is our shot. If we're going to actually get everybody connected, we have to be good stewards of this money. The state, the governor's office, the state broadband office, being very thoughtful about how to make sure we're spending this money smartly, and that takes a little bit of time, but it's worth it. And we're going to be a partner here in making sure we can move smartly and quickly.
I've got to say just one thing, and it's just this. If we had $1.2 and some odd million tomorrow, we wouldn't know what to do with it tomorrow. That's all there is to it. And to illustrate that, I want Secretary Carmichael to come up here and give us his. You come up here and tell us what all we're doing, and just think about what all is going on right now. And that's why the beauty of this is how it's phased in, just like Administrator Davison said just a second ago, we will phase this in the proper way and mind to store and spend the dollars to where they won't just go poof and we won't turn around and not have something.
Well, thank you, Governor. Thank you, Secretary Davidson and Senator Capito for this wonderful opportunity for West Virginia. And the Governor is 100% right. If we dumped all of that pile of money into the marketplace right now, it would be unable to absorb that from a workforce perspective, from a sourcing of the materials perspective, and so forth. We will do this thoughtfully and progressively. And as the Governor mentioned, let me give credit again to Director Kelly Workman, who's just done a fantastic job in putting this program together. And let me just say, Kelly, Governor, that she just received her 30-year anniversary pin working for the state of West Virginia under your signature today. She started very early.
There's no way. You
Yeah.
must have started when you were 6.
Yes. But we have already 38 ongoing projects right now. We've connected over 40,000 people over the last year with new high-speed internet that did not previously have it. Furthermore, in conjunction with the private sector and other of our partners, we've upgraded 120,000 people to fiber optic cable that may have previously had broadband services. And I would say this, Governor, the opportunity before us right now is generational. This is an opportunity to fundamentally reset West Virginia in terms of our broadband connectivity. And Undersecretary Davison, when you think about those many locations throughout America that are categorized as unserved, West Virginia, because we have that capacity to have so many underserved, will now have fiber optic cable to those unserved locations, which will allow us, in our estimation, to leapfrog the rest of the nation in terms of our connectivity and our broadband speeds and our ability to deliver world-class services to our citizens. This is the place to be for economic development and for the future of economy in not only our state but in America. We're moving forward thanks to all of your efforts and Senator Capito's, and we're just thrilled to have Secretary Davidson with us here today. So,
Secretary Carmichael, while you're up there, I'll ask you my question that I asked them. You just came back from Seattle. You visited Microsoft, Amazon, and Boeing. What are the chances those companies would even consider coming here and opening up operations here if this wasn't happening?
none. There would not be an opportunity to provide, to open up the doors to those type companies without ubiquitous broadband service throughout West Virginia. And what I will tell you, while we were at the Amazon headquarters, the news came out that West Virginia would receive, is in line to receive $1.2 billion, and we made that announcement while we were there at the Amazon headquarters, and there was standing ovation from the Amazon employees and the other people in the delegation. So the governor and his team have put West Virginia on the map for economic development. We are at an inflection point in this state where we have every opportunity before us. The nation is looking at West Virginia as a great location for business expansion and growth. And the addition of broadband connectivity throughout our state with the investments that are going to be occurring here only enhances our opportunity.
Can we have a moment of silence for the other 49
Yeah.
states?
We feel sorry
at the
for
end of the
them.
day, seriously, if we get all of our act together and everything online and everything, you can live in paradise. You can live in paradise within a rock's throw of 2/3 of the population of this country and absolutely do every and anything that we would want to do with any business anywhere. So I really do think we should have a moment of silence for all the other 49 states. And Baby Dog says, amen.
So, Governor, we do have a couple questions virtually. Right now we'll go to Charles Young with West Virginia News.
Hi, this is Charles Young with WV News. I was hoping we could hear from Kelly just a little bit about how far along the state is on the side of its homework assignment that we mentioned earlier. That I know when we did one of these about a month ago with the U.S. Commerce Secretary, she said, you know, getting the taps flowing was really dependent on the state getting its plan, the plan being submitted and approved. I just wondered if you could give us a little bit more granular detail on the state side of things. Thank you.
Sure, thank you. Happy to answer that question. Let me get to my timeline. So there are several homework assignments associated with our ability to secure this funding. And first up is our 5-year plan. So our 5-year plan is due August 12. We always like to be a day early, so our target date to submit our 5-year plan is August 11th. And we'll have a draft over to the the governor's office for review shortly. And there's no public comment period with the 5-year plan. So that'll be submitted to NTIA before August 11. Up next is our initial proposal, as the Secretary mentioned. And so the initial proposal includes 20 different sections. Basically, the state of West Virginia will be telling NTIA how we intend to spend this money, where we will spend it, how we will execute our challenge process, and so that we'll go through those 20 sections and answer all those questions. The initial proposal is so voluminous, we can actually break that into 2 sections. And so we intend to do that. So section 1 will be items 3, 5, 6, and 7. And we can give you a complete detail on all of those sections shortly. But we intend to submit volume 1 in October. And at that point, NTIA will say, yes, this looks good. You can execute your state challenge process. The state challenge process also has some timelines built in. So NTIA has been very prescriptive about what the states need to do in order to roll out this funding according to federal guidelines. So the state will determine which version of the national broadband map that we will utilize. We will lock into that map. We will post those locations for a 30-day public comment period or a challenge period. Providers within the state of West Virginia will have an opportunity to comment on that plan, on that set of addresses. If a challenge is received, other companies have an opportunity to rebut the challenge. That's another 30 days, I believe. Then the state has another 30 days to reconcile all of those locations. At that time, we'll be ready to stand up our first grant program. So, as the Senator mentioned, this should all occur through the fall into the spring, and we're hoping that we can secure our first 20% this time next year and start accepting applications for the 20% BEAD allocation. In that same time, we'll also be working on a final proposal. So the final proposal will go into NTIA. Once that's approved, the state will have access to the remaining funds, and we'll continue that process. We can go in several different rounds for the grant allocations, and that will occur over the next couple of years. And then all of the build-outs, I believe, are due to be completed by the end of 2029. And I'm going to ask the Secretary to correct anything that I have said that is not right.
From West Virginia Public Broadcasting. One of the reasons that we don't have the underserved and unserved connected now is because it's hard to get that cable to the top of the hill or the back of the holler. And I understand, I heard an interview with the CityNet CEO that some of these providers still have some challenges with supply chains, with the bucket trucks they've ordered 3 years back order, with getting the equipment to do the job. And what do you know about that, and how do you overcome that challenge?
Well, I think the providers in West Virginia, we've been working with them for several years now. So we have rolled out our funding under the American Rescue Plan Act. Those projects are underway throughout West Virginia. The providers have been looking forward to BEAD for a couple of years when we started hearing about it. So they've scaled up. And we are hearing that most of the supply chain issues are leveling out. There's still a lot longer lead time on certain components, but with proper planning, the providers are telling us that it can be managed. You just have to build that time into your timeline. The other thing I'll say is, in anticipation of the BEAD funding, when we knew it was coming, and part of our development of this 5-year plan, we proactively reached out to the providers in West Virginia. We conducted focused interviews with 10 or 12 of those companies to say, what would you like to see in this plan? What can we do to facilitate your expansion to the most rural parts of our state? We are squarely focused on connecting the unconnected and getting out to the most rural areas that need this funding the most. So all of their comments will be integrated into our plan, And I think that process and our relationships with those providers is extremely beneficial to us going forward. Thank you.
I guess maybe I would just say to Kelly's question about all of that, I'd say about the timelines. First of all, I'd say hopefully it's very clear. Your state broadband office is on it. That was a great rundown of all of the pieces of this, and it's a little complicated, but that's for a good reason, which is Congress instructed us. If you're going to write big checks to states, you better make sure they have a good plan in place for how they're going to spend that money. And so we are going to hold it, the state to account, and and as you can see, the state is doing a good job, is pretty far along in this work, and we're very optimistic and looking forward to. We've got a good partnership going, and being part of being here is continuing to build on that partnership.
That's great. That's great.
We have another question virtually, this time from Micah Leith with WOAY.
Hey, Michael Leith from WOAY TV here in Oak Hill. I want to ask a little bit more detail on something that Senator Capito said about how this program is really intended for the underserved people that don't currently have it. What are some specific details in that program that guarantee that those people are going to be getting it? I'm just looking for some more specifics on that. Thank you.
Well, I can jump in here. It's Assistant Secretary Davidson. The law is very, very clear. There's an order to this. The law says very clearly unserved first, and there's a very clear definition of that. People who do not have high-speed internet, and it's defined as people who do not have 25 megabit per second internet service. And so we are required by law, and we have said in our documents, and the state is taking this seriously too, the first step, the money first has to go to those unserved communities, those people who don't have any internet access or have very poor internet access, and that's where we're going to start. The next step, says the law, is the underserved, and that's people who have faster connections but still not the connections they ought to have. And it's up to 100 megabits per second uplink service, download service. And there's some technical definitions in here, but the point of it is unserved first, then the underserved who have up to 100 megabits per second who should have faster. And then when the state shows that it's checked the box and actually has all of those folks connected, then the state can actually use the money for other purposes too, including faster connections to anchor institutions like hospitals and libraries, other purposes. So our hope is the state is you've invested some of the state money in this. You're using ARPA funding for this. The state should be able to succeed well here and maybe use this money for a lot of other things too. But the starting point and the laser focus, unserved first, then underserved, and you're hearing it from all of us, and that's how we're going to implement it.
Okay. A lot of good questions. We appreciate those. We really do. A lot of good people here that are putting in a lot of licks. I want you to give them a great big round of applause in every way. Thank y'all so much.
Thank you.
Okay.
Oh.
Now.
Thank you all. Yeah. Great to be here.
Thank you. If any of you want to come and see Baby Dog, just last shot.